to all grade 7 learners and welcome back to DepEd TV. I am Ma'am Con, your grade 7 science teacher. Come and join me. We are Sci Connected. Here are the learning objectives. 1. Determine elements and compounds. 2. Describe the characteristics of elements and compounds. 3. Appreciate that elements and compounds are substances that can be found anywhere. How are you today? I hope you're all doing well. Before we start, make sure you have your pen, paper, and self-learning module. Whoops! It's science fact time with Ma'am Con. Let me give you a fact about water. Did you know that water can boil and freeze at the same time? Seriously, and it is called triple point. It occurs when temperature and pressure is just right for the three phases of matter, such as solid, liquid, and gas of a substance is just right to coexist in thermodynamic equilibrium. That's a short science fact with Ma'am Con. Talking about water, water is very important in our daily living. Without water, there would be no life on Earth. Water is used in houses, in irrigation systems, industries, and even in our body. Water is indeed an essential resource for life on Earth, and it must be conserved. Have you looked around your surroundings lately? Isn't it amazing that we are able to witness the beauty of your environment? Did you know that everything you see is a matter? Matter is anything that occupies space and has a mass. It is a chemical substance that can transform into another state. For today's lesson, we will find out that substances are classified into elements and compounds. Let me give you a hint for today's lesson by answering a short assessment. Are you ready? Prepare your pen and your paper. Identify the following examples, whether it is an element or a compound. Write letter E if the sample is an element, and write letter C if the sample is a compound. Let's start! Number 1. Aluminum. Aluminum is an element, so the correct answer is letter E. Number 2. Mercury. Mercury is also an element, so the right answer is letter E. Number 3. Ferrous sulfate. Ferrous sulfate is a compound. And if your answer is letter C, you got it right! Number 4. Sucrose. Good job! Sucrose is a compound. And the answer is letter C. Number 5. Carbon. Carbon is an element. The answer is letter E. How's your score? Is it good? Hope that everything is fine after the short assessment. And you have nothing to worry because we are going to elaborate this so you can understand the elements and compounds in simple ways. In our last activity, I know that it can be quite confusing at first. But do not worry, There are many ways to identify them. These substances are classified into elements and compounds. Elements have unique properties and characteristics compared to compounds. Now, let me introduce to you Melly. Like you, she is also a student and she loves science. She will be visiting a science laboratory in their school, but she needs our help in finding elements and compounds to avoid leakage in the laboratory. How can we help you, Melly? Let us listen and read the poem and use it as a guide in picking elements and compounds so that Melly will be guided. I know that you're all excited to help her. Let's go!
Hello, my dear friends. How is your day? I am very grateful that you are all willing to help me on this. I will be reading a poem and help me identify examples of elements and compounds written on it. Are you ready? Let's go! The Lost Element by J.P. Cadalem Valera. I think I was lost. My home is too far at any cost. I am tired finding home made of lead, so that solar radiation will not anymore be spread. The heat from the sun makes me float, like helium inside of a balloon that makes it bloat. As I go far, I feel numbed and bursting, like a bullet powder made of potassium nitrate that makes us shaking. I hope I can go home now. I feel my lungs did not function somehow. Hope oxygen will fill me completely before carbon dioxide will be mine totally. As I walked in a lonely road above the mountains, it is sad to see landmine of gold and copper be broken. This shows how the environment suffered much every day. Hope my home will be back with me again like a brand new day. My body is already in pain and drained, with essential elements from water made up hydrogen and oxygen. I want to quench my thirst soon, to fast track the lost element which is my home.
Did you listen to the poem? That's great! What are the elements and compounds stated in the poem? We have lead as element, helium as element, potassium nitrate as compound, oxygen as an element, carbon dioxide as compound, gold and copper as both element, water as a compound, hydrogen and oxygen as both element. Those are the elements and compounds from the poem. Melly, hope that this activity will help you. Enjoy your school laboratory tour and keep safe. In the previous activity, we identified different examples of compounds. And compounds are composed of elements. Can you divide a compound into two? I will give you examples and try to divide the compounds into its component elements. Are you ready? First is carbon dioxide. Very good! If you're going to identify the elements from carbon dioxide, it is carbon and dioxide from oxygen. Second is potassium nitrate. Great! The elements are potassium from nitrogen and oxygen. Elements and compounds are all around us. Elements are made up of atoms of the same kind. Each element is unique and have different properties. Some are in the same state, but they have different properties. Some elements are metal, like iron, gold, and silver. Others are non-metals, like nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen. There are elements that are metalloids. Metalloids have properties of metals and non-metals. Examples are boron, silicon, and germanium. Compounds are combination of two or more elements. Example is water, which is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. Another example is salt. Salt is made up of sodium and chlorine. Last example is rust. It is formed when iron reacts with oxygen. Compounds can be broken down into its components through a chemical process and forms when two or more elements are combined. It is my pleasure to know that you understand our lesson. Now, it's time for us to check your mastery of the lesson. Read each item carefully. Write only the letter of the correct answer. Use a separate sheet of paper for your answers. Number 1. Which of the following cannot be broken down into simple substance? A. Chemical formula. B. Compound. C. Element. D. Mixture. Great job! The answer is letter C, element. Number 2. Which of the following is not an example of element? A. Helium gas. B. Hydrogen. C. Ice. D. Oxygen. Excellent! Letter C is the answer. Ice. Number 3. Which of the following substances is not a compound? A. Carbon dioxide. B. Hydrogen. C. Salt. D. Sugar. You got it right! The answer is letter B, hydrogen. Number 4. Which of the following is the result if we combine two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen? A. Hydrogen peroxide. B. Salt. C. Sugar. D. Water. Excellent! Letter D is the answer. Water. Number 5. What makes up the compound carbon dioxide? A. Carbon and carbon. B. Carbon and oxide. C. Carbon and oxygen. D. Carbon and hydrogen. Very good! Correct answer is letter C, carbon and oxygen. Well, it's time to answer and learn more from one of the questions posted in Sci Connected on DepEd TV page. Sender is Dara, 16 years old, from Congressional Integrated High School, Schools Division of Dasmariñas. Her question is, how do volcanoes formed? Let's first define a volcano. Volcano is a geological rupture in the Earth's crust triggered by pressure, temperature, and forces in the Earth's interior. Well, how do volcanoes form? Volcanoes are formed via plate tectonics. It happens when tectonic plates collide and one plate is pushed beneath another. The friction created by the movement between two plates can melt solid rock in the mantle and turn it into magma. Over time, as the volcano continues to erupt, it will get bigger and bigger. All right, Dara, hope that I have answered your question. If you have questions, simply post it on Sci Connected on DepEd TV page. Kindly follow this format. Always remember, elements and compounds are substances that surrounds us and can be found anywhere. It may be the things that we are using, food that we take in, and as essential minerals that naturally occurs in our body. Hope that you have learned something new today. Thank you so much for sticking with me and see you on the next episode. Again, this is Ma'am Con, scientifically saying, think critically, do things differently, and that develops your ability.